Welcome to Thankful Thursday. Let me get it going here. See if Instagram will go. Here we go. Yay. Okay, now let me go over to my Facebook page and make sure that I'm broadcasting over there. Sorry, these are the fun things you get to do when you live stream by yourself all the time. You get to make sure everything's working. So I'm going in. Facebook wants to authenticate and making sure I am sharing to my group. So here we go. Share into my group. If you don't know my Facebook group, it's Quilting with Amanda Murphy. And I'm sharing from my page to the group. We should be good there. And we're sharing to Instagram. So welcome to Thankful Thursday. I'm Bernina expert Amanda Murphy, and this is something I've been doing during the pandemic, giving you guys little mini lessons, usually on the first and third Thursdays of the month. This next week, which next week would be the first Thursday of February, I will not be here because I will be at Bernina's headquarters teaching and then filming. So I will not be having a Thankful Thursday next Thursday, which is why I decided to do it on the fifth Thursday of the month, which is today. So we're going to do a little mini lesson. I will be quilting some drunkard's paths for you. I decided to insert this in here because we have a bunch of questions about an OESD sale that's going on. So I'm going to address that top of the broadcast, and then we'll get into quilting. Happy Thursday from Greensboro, not far away. So anyway, and Michigan, you guys are all over. So, okay. First of all, I have to say, if you guys are influenced to buy a Bernina like the Bernina Q16 or a regular Bernina domestic, including the 990, or a Bernina Serger or a Bernina software, but the full version of the software because it has to be over $1,000, can't be the update. And you would like to get a $100 rebate off of that. If you have not put any money down yet, I can send you a rebate card. You just have to reach out as a result of watching these broadcasts, right? But you got to reach out, before you buy anything. I can't retroactively send cards on purchases you've already made. So that's just on new purchases. Also have the $50 rebate for Laura Stars over $7.99 above, including that steamer that I showed you the other week. So just that off the top of the head. I want to answer a bunch of questions that are happening regarding OESD, which is Oklahoma Embroidery and Design, and they carry a lot of my digital files, and they are having a sale on the Longarm version of my digital files right now, and I put the link at the top of this broadcast, my affiliate link, but of course they're dealer affiliate links too, you might be under. The OESD recently split off their Longarm site from their domestic machine file site. So when I say domestic machine site, I would be referring to like a regular sewing machine with an embroidery hoop, like a 7 series or something. And most domestic machines take different types of files, but for Bernina, it would be EXP files, right? Versus Longarm files. So Longarm files are, of course, for all brands of Longarms that have automation, including the Bernina Qmatic, which is using BQM files, right? Bernina Qmatic files. And also some domestics. So the confusion is arising because I have a Circles and Rings collection, which was meant to debut with these lovely fabrics. So we'll talk about that in a minute. That Circles and Rings collection is available for Longarm and is available for domestic. But for domestic, Bernina saw these files and said, hey, that works really well with our 990 and 790 Pro. We're going to take those and have an exclusive on those for a year. So those Circles and Rings files that some of you guys have been looking for, first of all the sale right now is on my Longarm files, right? It's not on the domestic files. But the circles and rings is not available domestically yet, but it will be. I don't have a date of that yet, exactly when, but it's usually an exclusive for a year. So the long arm files are what you want if you have obviously a long arm, but also a Bernina 990 or a 790 Pro. So when the 790 came out a couple years ago, they were encouraging you guys to use BQM files for quilting rather than EXP files. And the reason why is BQM can be scaled to a great extent. And when they're scaled, the stitch length doesn't just get longer, right? It reapplies the stitches. You still, you of course don't want to bring in it an inch and scale it to 5 million inches, but the idea was you could do much more scaling than you can do with EXP files. And when it first came out on the Bernina 790 Pro, okay, the ability to take these BQM files, you could take the files off, you could work with them off a stick. It still didn't have the ability to save on to the machine, because if you save onto the machine, it would, on a 790 Pro, it converts to EXP. So you want to work off the stick that you get when you purchase the designs. Now the 990 you can save onto the machine, but if you make changes and try to resave it, it will still convert to EXP. So you want to be careful and make sure you're always using those BQM files so you have the scalability. So you guys who own 790 Pros and 990s, you should be shopping for quilting designs from the OESD Longarm site, okay? Not the domestic file site. You don't really want the EXPs. You want the Longarm files, okay? Okay, so when I was planning for all this for BU, because this debuted at BU last year, and let me be specific, this is a quilt. It's called Union Square, and it's made from panels, and it's meant to be a quilt you can practice quilting on, because you don't spend all the time piecing this, okay? So this New York Beauty is a panel. The flying geese are pieced. The circles come from the panel, and then this outside edge, which is the Dresden shapes, they're also panels, okay? So I don't always do this. I don't always do like panels you can make into a quilt. This was sort of me thinking about the 990 and thinking about things that I might want to practice quilting on, where I hadn't spent a ton of time like doing all this applique or doing all the paper piecing. I was trying to give you guys tools. So along with that, I did this collection called Circles and Rings, which you can find on the Longarm site if you have a 990 or 790 Pro, and eventually you will be able to find on the domestic site. And if I was quilting a motif, okay, so I'm going to show you guys this. This is getting kind of techy, but it's something you should know about. Why? Oh, goodness. I just flashed you guys. That's not good. Okay, so, okay, do you see how this was quilted? So this also comes in daylight colors, which I'm going to be quilting on in a minute. But this is a panel that's quilted, right? And I quilted it on my long arm. And to do these quarter circles, okay, on a long arm, what you do is you take the full circle file and you trim it one way and then you trim it the other way, which results in a quarter circle file, okay? And that's how I originally designed it and quilted it on a long arm, right? I basically, well, first of all, I quilted in the ditch, like between the blocks, and then I quilted an arc and then another echoed arc around each of the drunkard's paths, and then I plopped in a design. But as I said, I brought in a full circle design, and then I trimmed off one side and then the other side, because that's how you do it on a long arm. Now, remember how I said the BQM files can also go in the Bernina 990 and 790 Pro, and the reason why I bring this up, or the reason I did this, was because it was a great tool for dealers to practice, teach people to practice quilting in a hoop, right? But here's the caveat. The 990 and the 790 Pro can't trim like you would trim on a long arm. So on a long arm, you want to you hover over the quilt at a certain point, and then you trim a vertical line or horizontal line or diagonal line, basically based on that point. But I knew, because Bernina had bought the exclusive for domestic machines, that they were going to want those quarter circles, because you can't trim on a domestic machine without going to software. Okay. When I added those into the collection, OESD converted them for me into the quarter circles, but somehow in the whole mess of things, they didn't make it to the long arm site, those files of quarter circles. So OESD is going to get them up there today, and because of that, they're going to extend the sale of the long arm files. So you 790 Pro people, or you 990 people who are interested in the quarter circle files, just give them a few hours and they will get them up there, because they were created. They somehow just didn't make it in. Because actually, for me, those files were an afterthought, because, of course, I didn't need them on the long arm, but I later thought, oh, we're going to need them for domestic machines. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm hoping this makes sense. So just give them the rest of the day. They'll be up there, going to extend the sale through the weekend. I put the link to the sale in my notes at the top, so hopefully that came through, and that will clear up any questions you might have. Now, if I was doing this on a domestic machine, not on a long arm, I would use my ruler to stitch in the ditch around the circles and to do the echoed circles as well, and I will show you that today. And then after, and I would stitch in the ditch. Did I say that? And then after that, then I would hoop my fabric and place the files in the drunkard's path circles. So in general, you don't want to hoop and place those files first until you've gotten the basic ruler work, because that's what's going to keep it from looking messy, right? If you start hooping and hooping and hooping, fabric ships a little and you don't have the opportunity to go back and get it straight, okay? So I would do all my ruler work first, and then I would go in the hoop and do anything. And I know theoretically you could use like a placed quarter circle to stitch along that white line that divides the drunkard's path from the background. I want to do that. I'd use a ruler, because the reality is fabric isn't going to be a perfect quarter circle. There's always going to be some pull one way or the other way. Your computerized file will be at this perfect circle, so it's very likely not to lie right over the line on the fabric. So I would use ruler work for that, and then I would place any designs. Now remember, these are 790 Pros that take BQM files. I have a 790 Plus. I think it's in my warehouse right now. And I also have a 780, amongst other machines. Those would not take the BQM files. I fully anticipate, not that I know anything, because I sometimes know things I can't tell you guys, but I don't know anything on this one. I would just anticipate it's a great feature to be able to have that scalability. So I would imagine that more Bernina machines in the future will have that capability. I know nothing. I'm just telling you guys, right? Okay, so same goes for this one. What I did here, I quilted around all the circles, obviously with a ruler, because it's not going to hit otherwise. And then on every other one of these, I quilted the ring design. Okay, and you guys can tell if I come up close, that's a computer that did it, because it's way too regular to be me, right? Okay, so I hope that corrects things for you guys. The quarter circles are coming out for you. The EXP files, for all of you who might have 790 pluses, etc., will come out eventually once they come off the Bernina exclusive, which, as I said, is a year. I just don't know when the year starts. Let me see if anyone wrote me back from OESD, because I wrote them this morning and I said, I am confused when this comes off the exclusive. I don't think they've written me back about it yet. Okay. Okay. I don't think they've written me back. Okay. So Remember how I said this quilt behind me is made of panels, basically. Okay. I don't often do that. Was an experiment to give you guys something with curves that you could practice quilting on. So, like, I know this is only a partial panel, right? But I was trying to give you guys something to practice on. And you guys who have followed me for a long time know I like to change things up pretty regularly. So I had someone ask if I am going to, well, I had two people ask. I'll tell you a story. I probably shouldn't say this publicly, but I'm just going to say it publicly. Okay. I had someone ask if I was going to come out with this as a pattern. You guys look at that New York Beauty. I don't usually do work like that. Usually my work is like for intermediate, like it's not like I don't come out with quilts you're going to spend 3 years piecing. That's just not me. So no, I'm not going to come out with this pattern as a piece pattern. And also, no, I'm not always going to be doing this. This is like an experiment and I thought it was fun, etc. But I can tell you the next two fabric lines, there's nothing like this, right? There's nothing like these type of panels. So sometimes I'll try something and see how it goes. Like the next time we do a Thankful Thursday, depending on the quilts I have around me versus what's out, I may show you the pieced quilts for this collection, how I quilted them, because there's lots of regular piece quilts. This is pieced, but it's done from panels. So I had someone write me and say, "Are you always going to be doing this now?" No, this is like a special thing. So, like the kits on this, I think I have 5 more I have to post, maybe 5 more of these kits. Once they're gone, they're gone. Once they're gone from dealers, they're gone. This is like an experiment to give you guys something to sew or to practice quilting on. Does that make sense? Especially with the new scanning feature and the 990. Not that you have to have it. You could certainly use pinpoint placement, but I'm trying to give you tools. And a lot of times, my work is driven by what I see in classrooms and what I see that would help with education in terms of quilting, because that's just the space I'm in. So I had one person ask, am I going to come out with a piece? No, because that center, it's way too complex. I don't think it would sell. And then I wish I had the pillow cityscape. I wish you had the pillow. Do you mean the bench pillow? Julianne's asking something. Um, I didn't bring it down with me today. I have it. I just didn't bring it down with me. There's an applique piece that's a big city. I have it, but I didn't bring it down. Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure what she means by that. Okay. So, no, there's not going to be a ton of stuff like this. So get it while you get it, because I'm not doing it. At least the next two collections, I'm doing nothing like it. The oh my gosh, this is what I was going to tell you guys. So I had this one woman who was really polite, who was just like, "I'd love to see this as a pattern, but as I said, it wouldn't sell enough to be commercially viable for me." I had one woman who was like, there are some people who are just so nasty in emails, they honestly should have their ability to email taken away from them. This woman wrote me and she's like, I downloaded this. She clearly didn't read anything. And she was like, um, I'm not going to be conned into buying your fabric. I'm not going to be whatever, whatever. She had downloaded the whole pattern. So she was like super upset and very rude, like unbelievably rude. I actually called her out on it. I was like, there is no need to be rude. I'll just give you a refund, whatever. Thinking, I hope she never orders from me again. So then she also bought a serger pattern, which it's very clearly says a serger pattern on the cover. The description sees serger pattern. She writes me back and she's like, I'm also dissatisfied for this because it's a serger pattern. And I was like, okay, you need to use your eyeballs. Also, you need to have email taken away because, like, I'm giving you the mild version. It was like, I will kill your firstborn. And I thought, this is awful to say, but like, the best punishment for this lady is that she has to live inside her own miserable head. I probably shouldn't say this online, but oh my goodness, like what is wrong with people? Do they forget there's people at the other end of email conversations? It's crazy. Like what is wrong with people? Anyway, one person in 15 years of doing this job has ever been that rude, so I guess I should be grateful, but like honestly, I was like, "Oh, please go crawl back in your hole and leave me alone." I gave her a refund. She didn't deserve one because she was that nasty. But like, oh my goodness, it makes you grateful for all the nice people out there. Okay, let me get back to this panels. Okay, I wish you had the pillow cityscape, as I said, Julianne. I'm going to scroll down. I'm not sure exact. I do have it. Maybe I'll show it next time. I don't know what you're asking. Oh, kit, maybe. Should we P-wash the panels from the kit before cutting the panels? That's kind of up to you. So I was thinking about that, Keisha. I did, okay? But I also serged the edges so I wouldn't lose anything. I did pre-wash it. Now, the way this pattern is written, because I thought about that, I thought if you pre-wash, well, first of all, you know, if I design yardage that's 43 inches, oftentimes when the yardage comes in, because of the finishing process, it might be 42 and a half inches, right? And then you wash it and it's 41 inches or something like that. So I could not, when I was writing this pattern, I don't know if it will make sense. I couldn't rely on the things being a certain length, right? So what I had you do, if you look really close here, I had you add rectangles and oh, maybe you can see it best. Where could you see it best? In the corners. Let me see if I can bring this over so you can see what a corner looks like. Okay, so you see how I had you add rectangles on both ends of the drunkard's path? I had you add those oversized and then cut it down. Okay, and that was in case people pre-washed or in case the fabric just wasn't 43 inches, which is often the case because of the finishing process they have, so the dyes don't run. Often that will shrink it down just a little bit. So I had you cut it bigger. Add on bigger and then trim it to a certain size. So if you pre-wash, you'd be okay. However, you need to search. You don't want to things to come unraveled, parts of the panels to come unraveled while you're washing. If you want to wash it, it would be fine, but you gotta overcast the edges first. Okay, it would work either way because of the way I wrote the instructions. Okay, let's see. So the thing, I think, Julianne, you, and I hope I'm saying your name right, you may be asking if I'm going to do cityscape kits for that big applique. I do not know yet. I have to see if I could get enough of the fabrics that I could do them. So I don't want to promise you anything. What happened is Cityscape sold out and didn't get reordered for a number of months. And so there's going to be a period where it's not in the shops and then it's in the shops again. So I don't know if I do them, it is going to be before May when the new fabric comes in or after. Right now, I'm actually in a period where I am doing new product for BU. This year, like I've already finished my fabric lines. I have not finished my quilts. I finished brewer stuff to an extent, so I've finished rulers, but I don't know which of the rulers that I finished. I'm going to debut. I have to talk with them today. So I'm in the point where I'm getting all that ready for next year. So I'm a little, and me figuring out that cityscape yardage is going to take longer. I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't want to promise you. What semicircle set would you need? I don't remember, but the sizes are noted on my website where the semicircles are listed. What I can tell you is these circles that are on the dark blue background or on the cream background in the day version, those are 4 inches. And I don't remember what the drunkard's path is, but it's 6-inch blocks and the circles, they're 5-inch quarter circles, so they're 10-inch diameter circle, right? On the drunkard's path. So I hope that helps you. Okay, so let's see. I think I have everything. Yes, thank you. My materials are high quality because I have Benartec send them to the best mill in Korea. So Benartex does do a good job. I think they are the best mill, and the printing on this has to be so precise to look this crisp and to do these type of panels. When I'm quilting, you'll see the printing is very precise. I don't have the alignment is a nightmare when they have to print this stuff. So they did a very, very, very good job, and it kind of, my fabric didn't come in time for BU. And I was very mad about it, but I will say they did do a good job. I just wish it had come earlier. Okay, so let's see. That she was asking about the kits. I'll get back to you on kits when I know about kits. It is possible when the reprints come in that I think it's very likely I do it, but I don't know the timing of it. Okay. And what you guys are asking about, just because people tune in who haven't seen like all my stuff, let me see if I can find a picture. I don't want to knock this over. Okay, what Julianne's asking about, you guys, there's a bunch of different quilts for this collection. You can see them on my website. She's asking about this wall hanging. Okay, so I'll show you that another time. She's asking about whether I'd have kits for the wall hanging. You might be able to find them at quilt shops too. If you found them, go ahead and buy them there. But as I said, it'll be a while. Okay, we're going to quilt. If you're looking for my schedule of where I'll be, because I didn't even say it this time, it is listed on Facebook, the ones that have been announced yet. So I'm going to go through just really quickly. Let me see. I'm looking. I forgot to bring it up first. So I'm too afraid to. I'm bringing up pages right now. I'm too afraid to do it without looking at dates because sometimes I don't remember. Okay. So February 4th to 6th, next week I'm at the Creative Center, and then I'm filming afterward at the Creative Center. March 6th through 9th, you're Europeans. I know there were a couple people from Europe on here. I will be at H&H in the Amman booth with Perfect Quilting Thread for OESD. Come and see me at H&H in Germany. Then March 18th through 20th, Chestnut Ridge. April 9th through 11th, Hoover's. April 24th through 26th, Montevilla, that's in Portland, Oregon. May 1st through 3rd, Quality Sewing in Seattle, or the Seattle area, I guess I should say, because I don't think the venue's right in downtown. And let's see, I'll be at H&H near Bernina and Brewer and Benartex and OESD. I have a booth near there. I don't remember my booth number, I tell you guys. That's an industry show. I will be at the Hudson Sewing Studio in Illinois between the July 24th through 26th. I will be at Pine Needles August 4th through 6th. I don't know that one's been announced yet. I will be at World of Sewing in Raleigh, North Carolina, the 22nd through 24th of August. Okay? Okay. Was there interest in an online quilting class in the hoop class for Cityscape for the 990 odors? Yes, there's lots of interest. My problem is my time. So I don't want to guarantee a date for that, but yes, there was interest. Again, it's always my time. Okay, let's see. And if I was going to do that, I have to redigitize something for that. I digitized it. It was pretty good, but I learned a better way to digitize it, which I think is going to be even cleaner, and I have to do that. So there's always things to work on. Okay, so let's see these fabrics. And this is the day panel. It's actually not even a full repeat, and I didn't even bother to... It's so confused, it doesn't know what to focus on. I didn't even bother to iron it. This is just like a partial piece I had left over when I was sewing. Sometimes things come on the bolt and they're cut short, and I have one at the end I really can't sell, so I usually use them for demos. And in fact, when I did flat rate boxes early in the week, some of these were in there, some of my partial panels. So basically, what I do is I'd quilt in the ditch all the lines first, and here I have my Jubilee ruler, but every angle plus works the same. It has a little line on it so you can line up with the seam. I'm just going to do one of the lines right here, and then we're going to talk about quilting some of these blocks. Okay, so let me get over here. I'm not going to even base today because this is like quick and dirty, right? Oh, guys, I wanted to say something about this 72 S foot. So see how it has a slit in it? It's S foot. And it is lovely for when you're quilting. This isn't coming out really easily, so I'm just going to check this bobbin and make sure. Okay. It is great. Didn't check anything before I started this morning. It is great for when you want to change to a free motion foot. I was looking, I think my free motion's upstairs, that 73 foot that's open toed. It is great for that. Oh, look, I should have cleaned my machine. Jeannie will kill me. Okay, but here's what I've been noting. Sometimes when I've been traveling, I've seen people struggle with the clamshells with this foot. And that's because over time the foot can just bend a little and kind of spread because there's that slit there. And so it won't fit into the clamshell as well as the regular 72 foot will. Just something to be aware of. It only happens with certain rulers where there's like a definite indent that's half an inch exactly. But I have seen some of them that are bent. Just from probably just force over time, and it may be like they're bent like less than half a millimeter, like just a slightly, but it can make that fit with the clamshell really, really, really tight. And so that's why I bring it up to you guys. Okay, so I go all the way back and forth across the blocks. All over the quilt sandwich. And then I would start these Dresden plates. Now, remember how I said that's 5 inches? I know it's 5 inches because I measured it with the Jubilee ruler. That means it's a 10-inch diameter. So I go to my semicircle set, and I have a feeling 10 inches is in set 2. Oh. This tag is like in my zipper here. I wonder how that happened. Hold on, I have to cut this. I have this old quilting bag, and like the piece of the plastic tag, I never cut off the tag. The piece of the plastic tag was stuck. Now, I know 11 inch, let's see, 10 inches. I can't remember if it's set 2 or 3. Hold on. See, you guys, I don't remember after I designed these things. It may be, yep, it's set 3. Okay, so 10 inches would match. We'll talk about set 2 in a minute if I didn't have set 3, but you see that curve matches, right? So that's why it's important to have rulers that have good markings, because then you know what the curve is. Now I'm in a stitch regulation mode, so I'm going very fast. I would not be going that fast on a domestic, obviously. If I didn't have set 3, I could use the 9-inch from set 2. I'm just going to have to reposition my hands more because the curve isn't going to match exactly. Okay. Now, as I said, at this point, once you've done all these, you could go and hoop this, and in your domestic embroidery machine, if you had, and go ahead and do a design in there. But what I wanted to show you today is there's lots of other things you can do too if you don't have that ability. So if I wanted to do like a ribbon candy, I'm going to show you first what it looks like. My digital file looks like for the ribbon candy. Okay, so you guys see this? Okay, that is going to be really, really hard to free motion, right? Where it fills the entire expanse. But if instead I did a ruler work arc right here where I gave myself a channel, so I was breaking down the space, that's going to be much easier. So I can do something similar. I wouldn't do exactly what this design is. So I am just going to get something from maybe my middle set. The biggest set of semicircles is quarter circles. All the others. Okay, so you see how I can use the markings here? Okay. And some circles also, they have that little half-inch um, kind of opening. And so if you have a foot that's been bent, like I've seen sometimes it doesn't want to fit in. And then I'd use the regular 96 foot or the 72 foot, the regular 72 without the slit. Okay, so now I'm going to hook this in. Oh, I'm having trouble figuring out where I need to start. Okay, so now I'm going to make a channel, right? And it doesn't have to be the size that I show here, but honestly, this would be so hard to free motion um, a, a perfect quarter circle. So this is going to be way easier. Okay, so now I'm going to make, let's see, I'm going to go around the inside of this circle. Okay. So what I've effectively done is broken up that space. And now I really could do a ribbon candy or loops or something in that space because that's much more controllable when you have a channel you're quilting down. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then once I do that, I'll go over and do it in another space and we'll just get some ideas there. And then I think I'm going to go over here, this guy over here and do something in there. And I would do this in all of these sections. I'm just showing you on the more solid areas because honestly, you can see it a little better. So you can see what I'm thinking of and what I'm doing. So, I'm going to do ribbon candy, but you could also just do like loops. So when you're doing ribbon candy in an arc like this, it's kind of a half a circle diagonal line, half a circle diagonal line, but the inner half a circles are going to be way smaller than the outer half a circle, right? Because of the curve of these lines. So I'm thinking when I go around the outer half, I'm thinking more like a quarter, and the inner half, I'm thinking more like a dime. Okay? Okay, so that would be one thing you could do in there. Now, let's do some other sizes. I don't know what. I'm just grabbing. I keep all my semicircles and my circles in one bag. They are the rulers I use more than any others, without a doubt. Sometimes I will just use the edge of my semicircle to travel rather than getting out my straight line, right? I still have to be further down here. Okay. You see, I'm checking these lines to see, am I centered to my block? Okay, so now I should be like that, right? So, I'm using my new Every Quilting thread for OESD right here. And let's just go, maybe I'll just go in the same circle. Maybe. I have not looked up to see questions, so if you guys are posting questions, I'll address those in a minute. Okay. Okay. So, you have a bunch of different things you could do in here that would be fun. You could do like the loop down, loop up, loop down, loop up. You guys see me do that a lot. Maybe what I will do I will probably regret not, I'm going to do something here, but I'm going to probably regret not marking this. So let's just see how it goes. What I want to do is kind of do raised, but just in this section of it that come out from the corner. And so I will be traveling over my previously quilted line about maybe a half inch. And I can tell it's a half inch because the edge of my foot's a quarter away from the edge here. Now I'm going to rotate this ruler, and I'm going to rotate it so that it's a quarter inch away from like the corner of the block, right? And then right up against the foot, and I'm going to quilt out. See, if I was super precise, I'd just using that kind of as a crush. If I was super precise, I would have marked all the angles, but I'm not. So I'm just going to kind of always aim back in the corner. The risk of doing what I'm doing here, which is like shortcut, is that I'm going to end up, because I'm just going half inch over, with a really skinny one at the end. But I can live with that because I'm lazy. I didn't think of this last night when I was thinking, what am I going to do for them today? And oftentimes, like, I don't have a plan. I just go up and see, I don't know what I feel like at the moment. Because as I said, I'm doing other things this time of year, which is coming up with new product. And my headspace is sort of there. So I just sit down and I quilt. Now, I know I'm going to want to fit in 3 in this last space, so I'm going to try to make it reasonably even, but it's not going to be perfect. My daughter would have marked out all the angles. It would have looked a lot better, but you know what? Mine's done fast. Okay, so yeah, it's not perfect. The last 2 are a little skinnier, but it's still kind of fun, and I did it without being able, really free motioning at all. Now, if I wanted to, then yes, of course, you could go in and I need to change my stitch length down, but I could go in and do those loops or add, but at that point, you're kind of committing to quilting this thing to death. Or I could go into the center and do something, right? So I would be traveling over previous lines. Okay. Again, this is how I envision the panels being used, to teach you guys to quilt without having a project that you were like, oh my goodness, I spent so much time and energy doing this, right? No, this is something, what would be really fun is, and if someone does this, they should definitely email me with the pictures. If you did this on Softy and Stable and made a bag out of it, it would be awesome, awesome, awesome. I probably would be doing that with ruler work and free motion. I probably wouldn't. I haven't tried to hoop Soft and Stable yet, but that would be a lot. Okay, let's see. I just am going. I'm just making sure there's no other questions. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys one more thing. That's going to be fun, and then I'm going to stop for today. I want any questions you have. Please put them in the chat so I see them now. Now, if you guys are watching as a recording, okay, please don't ask questions on the recording because I will not see them. There is no way I can monitor all these. So, those are my paper scissors. I think I took my little snips that I use all the time upstairs for some reason. I think I was filming something and I took them upstairs. Okay, so what was I saying to you? Can't even remember now. Where's my 10-inch? I'm just going to go around this because I want it to be stable while I go around. My thought was maybe to do some feathers, like some crazy feathers around the outside. And this is honestly how I teach myself to do things, is I don't have much of an appetite for doing the same thing 5 million times, so I prefer to make each block a little different. And that's a challenge to yourself. Okay, this is too big. I can tell because I was using the outside. I need to use the inside that's actually labeled 10 inches. And it's going to be a little hokey. And the reason why it's going to be a little hokey is because I did not base down this edge. So we'll see how well the fabric behaves. You guys know I'm just skipping steps left and right. Okay, so what I was going to do here is basically, I would have done all my stitching in the ditch and basting down, but I was going to treat this like kind of like a feather, but maybe a feather with like a weird shape, like a heart sort of feather, not a traditional feather. So I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to come in. And so what I want to do here, I'm doing these kind of heart feathers, but I'm also going to throw in some leaves. And I've changed my stitch length. It is pretty tiny. My stitch length is, I'm going to throw in a vein here, probably 13 or 14 stitches per itch if I looked up at the screen, but I'm not going to look up the screen until I stop. Okay, 13 stitches. So I put in a little leaf in that corner, and I give this guy a little vein too, because if one of them has a vein. Okay, and so that's how I did the outside. Now, if I did something that kind of organic on the outside, I'm very likely to do the opposite on the inside. So I don't know where I just put my Jubilee ruler. Oh, here's the angle ruler. That's fine. I am going to just every other row of this design, I'm going to just quilt up or down. Okay. And this is principally just to contrast with what I did in the background area. So I'm just going to go up. And I don't usually get out the curve just to go around that short a distance. I just stay with the straight line and adjust it as needed. You can see why I should have done all my ditch work first, because, you know, this has movement and it can look messy, but this is a tutorial, so I'm not going to do it. And the reason why I chose every other line is because I think it would have just been too dense of a, given the quilting I'm doing elsewhere in this panel, I think it would have been too dense to have every line. And this is really a lesson in, you know, using the fabrics in different ways to inspire your quilting. Like here, I could see you could do hex. Oh, look it. I'm totally off camera. Sorry, guys. I could connect the corners of these hexagons. That might be an interesting pattern. But oftentimes I'll look at the fabric and think, what could I do that would minimize marking? Right? And that wouldn't shift if I had done that first. You know, on those, gosh, you could do pebbles around them almost. I'd have to really think. That would be more difficult. It would be an interesting experiment, wouldn't it? I don't know how that would work. But, you know, frequently here you could do cross hatches. Here you could do lines, right? Frequently I will use things on the fabric to inspire me. So that's how you can kind of get a similar look to what I did with the digital designs if you don't have that ability. Okay, so let me just see if there's anything else today that I need to answer. Okay. Can I show? Yes, I will show you how to pull up the end in the beginning. Okay, let's see. My 990 is being delivered date. Congratulations. That's an exciting day. Thank you. You love my work. Thank you. Okay, so let me just show Roseanne. And given I'm on a long arm, right? You do this the same way on a domestic. It just takes you more buttons. So again, I have my shears. This is overkill for what the job is, but I took my 4-inch snips upstairs. Okay, so I'm at the end. I'm going to show you how to end, and then I'll show you begin and end again. So let me get this on. Whoops. Okay, so I'm at the end. What I need to do is bring my needle up and my presser foot up. Both of them have to come up because when you bring the presser foot up, it opens the tension disc. So on this machine, I could just use the heel kick and it will do both if I have it set on the securing stitch as an option on the screen. So see, I have it set as a knot. It means something different than Bernina Domestics when you look at that knot, because what it does is one full stitch rotation. So what it's doing for me is bringing the foot up and the needle up in one step. But what you do on a domestic, you push needle up and foot up, and you get a situation like this. Then you grab onto the thread, and you can easily pull it out away from the sew head at this point because the tension discs are open. If you skip bringing up that presser foot, the tension discs are closed. Now you would do one more stitch, and I would have already secured my threads. I would have either done a little back stitch or small stitches. I didn't do that here, but I do one more like that. And you have to bring up the foot again, and the whole time I'm holding on to that thread. I don't let go. And then when you pull on the thread you were holding and the thread coming out of the needle, that's what your bobbin, there's my bobbin thread right there, and I can cut it, right? Because I would have already secured my stitches. Now, again, if I wanted to start, you start with your presser foot up and your needle up, right? You do one stitch, so needle down, needle up, presser foot up. So that's 3 buttons or 4 in a domestic machine. And then you go ahead and you bring the foot down and you do your sewing, right? And I want to stop now. So I do little stitches. So little stitches to lock my threads. Then I need to bring my needle up and my presser foot up. I grab that thread that's coming out of the needle. I almost always hold it to the left. And the reason I do that is because of the slit foot. If you hold it to the right, it pops out of the slit. And I'm just so used to having that I tend to hold to the left. And that is my bobbin thread. Sometimes if the bobbin thread doesn't pop up, you have to pull the thread that's coming out of the needle as well. And you pull the threads in opposite directions. That pops the bobbin thread up. You do not. If you are on a domestic machine, you do not use your thread cutting feature, because that would leave it at a garment length of about 1/2 inch, and you don't want that. Either you would want it very long because you were going to bury your threads, or you would want to cut at the quilt sandwich. So you're always manually clipping. I get people ask a lot, why isn't Bernina make it so, like, why aren't you just using the clippers? Because it would be the wrong length. And the other problem with that is it leaves it really short for the next time you bring it up. So usually with quilting, you would manually clip your threads. Now, let's see. I think that's it. So let me just see. Oh, on a Q16, as I said, the key is this heel should be set on the knot, okay? Not on the needle or the presser foot, because that just would do one thing. If you have in the knot and you push the heel once, it does both things, okay? So that is the magic of that. Okay, so I hope you guys have a great Thursday. I will not be here next week. The next Thankful Thursday will, unless I do it the second, it most probably will be on the 20th. Okay, I might change things and do one on the 13th, but I think it's going to be on the 20th. I'd let you guys know if I was going to do it before then. And that's it. So I hope you have a great day. You can find kits for a little while still, as long as I have them, in both the summer and the winter story, either at participating quilt shops or on my website. Once they're gone for these, I'm not restocking these. They're done. Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you. Bye.